Kim, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. I'm so excited to be
Yeah.
here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. And it's like when mom entrepreneurs get together, it's just like two bees in a hive.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah,
so
exactly.
aligned with, how we, want to help women and mom entrepreneurs. So this is going to be a great conversation. So I'm just going to dive in and tell us about starting your business at age 50 and you had this really scary life-changing accident. And, what helped you make that shift in your life?
Oh, I do love this question. And I just hope for your fans, your super fans, your listeners, that at any age you can start something that you've been thinking about. And so I reflect back and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done this earlier. But timing, I think, is everything. So yes, you are correct. What had happened is, well, I'm going on my third year of For the Love of is the name of my business. I had a traumatic skiing accident, which forced me to slow down. And in that slowdown, knocking on the door of 50 at that time, soon to be empty nester, two daughters that were going into college, I was like, what do I really want to do with the second best half of my life?
Mm.
And I hadn't slowed down for a good 25 years. And so being in a leadership position in managing almost 200 people at one time, also being in real estate sales, also being a mom of two young daughters, also a third of the year being a single mom when my husband was working 24-hour shifts on a fire department. That slowdown caused me reflection time to really think about, what do I want to do? One, and what am I really good at? And what can I make money with?
Hmm.
And so that's how it became what it was. I ended in my healing process. And luckily, I have a very supportive spouse. And I approached him after I was healed and just said, hey, I think I have this really good idea. And of course, he's like, let me sit down, honey. Here we go again. And I said, I think I want to go start my own coaching, speaking, personal development company with an emphasis of empowering women and with a special emphasis on empowering working moms.
Hmm.
And we did it. And he agreed. And I said, I know I've been on a salary, a corporate leadership type salary for the last 10 years, but we also knew what it felt like to be 100% commission when I was in real estate sales. And he just trusted in me and I ripped the Band-Aid. It wasn't, and I'm all for dual career when you need to. You have to
Hmm.
do what's right for your family, but I ripped the Band-Aid, had an end date, and started.
Yeah. I love that you address that false belief that you can only start at a certain time or when it's perfect or when the kids get older or whatnot. And, it's funny, your situation when you started your business sounds so much like mine. I have two daughters.
Mm.
One is about to graduate high school and I'm almost 50. And I look back and I am so glad I started things when I did because I would be starting from zero at this point. And so you're spot on that listeners who are waiting, stop waiting. The time doesn't become perfect and just start taking that action. And whether you have to moonlight for a while and make the most of your
Mhm.
evenings, at least one day a week or something like that, in the margins, do that at least. Um, so,
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk about this other belief that when mom entrepreneurs, especially, want to transition to starting their own business, they feel like they're starting from scratch. And really, they don't think about all the leadership skills and all the skills they're bringing to the table. So I'd love to hear about some of the corporate experience that enabled you to hit the ground running and, led to your
Mm.
success.
Oh my gosh. So first of all, I know you talk about this a lot as moms, and whether you're
Mhm.
working outside of the home or inside of the home, we discount what we do as the
Yeah,
CEO of our home. We
totally.
discount the management, the personalities. I mean, let's be honest, it's just like running a business where, somebody's having a bad day, somebody's having a good day, somebody forgot their lunch, somebody's cranky, right? Along with our own emotions, especially as women, as we have hormonal changes and body changes and all sorts of different things. That alone is a huge experience if you really take a step back and you think about how you're operationally running your home.
Mm-hmm.
And then as for me in the corporate world, running large real estate brokerages, that experience, first of all, as much as I had 180 associates who are 100% commission under my leadership, they could technically go work anywhere. And so I broker managed small, large businesses, I would call them, right? There may be 200 heads, but really there were only 6 that were W-2 on staff along with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that experience of, I guess I would say, independence, right? Anybody who's 100% commission, helped me see through their eyes what they experience, learning how to read a profit and loss statement, learning how to speak to different personalities. All of that, I think, coupled together when I decided to go and start my own business. And as much as I can say, oh, I wish I would have done it earlier, but all that experience catapulted my business in what I've accomplished in the last 2 years. It might take somebody 10 years.
Yeah.
And so for anybody who's currently in the workforce, take a look around at what you're learning, or anybody who's figuring out how to, I mean, let's be honest, we can do business anywhere because of technology now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how are you managing and balancing your household and your family along with potentially working from home? Those are skill sets that you can use to go start your own business, whatever that may look like.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you also mentioned working remotely. That is an entirely unique skill set that a
Yeah.
lot of people find difficult to manage. And so, yeah, I often think that that's a really great first step to figuring out whether you can be your own boss, is just being in that position
Ooh.
where you have to manage your time and nobody's there telling you.
So true. And I don't have anybody telling me. And so it's definitely, I mean, anybody who's looking to do that or try it, it's really creating it as like a job, a job,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And if you had a job, you'd have hours.
Hmm.
So I get up every day. When I get up, I do my hair and makeup because that's what I would do if I had a job.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, people. I don't know if people are watching or just listening, but I do have yoga pants on and fuzzy socks. I mean, not gonna lie, from the waist down, as they say, right? But I do this mind shift change
Yeah.
of, okay, you woke up and now you're going to work. I
Mhm.
literally, even my husband is retired now, I will kiss him goodbye and say, bye, I'm going to
Mhm.
work. And that helps with the mindset when you
Mhm.
are a entrepreneurial mom working from home. It's
Mhm.
go to work, go to a different
Mhm.
environment, get your
Mhm.
mindset right. I mean, I don't know, take a drive around the block and
Right.
show up, at the door with your Yeti or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think the most successful entrepreneurs on this podcast always mention some kind of transition to and after work, whether it's changing clothes after work or taking a walk or whatnot. I think that that is very important. So I love you mentioned that too. Let's talk about your coaching frameworks that really are kind of the foundation of what you do. And I'm really interested in learning more about the PRP model. Let's talk
Mm.
about that and how we can use that to kind of shift our mindset to make changes, whether it is starting a business or growing or uh, making some changes.
Thank you so much for asking that, because this is the core of my passion and the core of what I speak about and coach about. And so PRP, for anybody who's listening and can write this down or go back to it, is we're going to have a free download at the end, really is perception, reality, potential. Perception, reality, potential. That's what the PRP stands for. And we know, if you do any studying or reading about your brain, we know that our brain is built to protect us from harm, We have all these pieces of our brain, without getting too scientific, that when we wake up, our brain automatically goes to a negative point. And not that it's not there to support you, it's there to protect you. And so maybe you get up and you hit snooze, and then you hit snooze again. And the first thing that your brain says to you is, oh my goodness, now you're going to be late. Oh, wait, now you're not going to be able to pack your lunch. And so the perception that we start with during the day naturally that our brain says to us to protect us is like, hurry up, get out the door. And so then the reality becomes that we're rushing, we're running behind, we're stressed out. All those things compile, which ultimately equal our potential. It's who you are, what you do, and how you act. If we start with the perception of our brain, and we can't always control the first thought. We can't control if a kid gets sick and we have to stay home and all these things that are LIFE, life, right? But we can control our second thought. And if we know, based on the science, we have 60,000 thoughts naturally throughout the day, and somewhere around 75% of them are negative. Like, that's 45,000 thoughts that are like, hey, girlfriend, you can't do it. Who are you kidding? And then, add a layer of social media on it and forget it. You're just like, forget it. My potential is not there. And so that's the whole concept of the PRP model. How can we start in the morning with some sort of mindset readjustment so that we can shift our perception of ourselves, so that we can literally change our reality in order to reach our potential? Unfortunately, it is a daily work. It's a daily battle, right? It's the analogy of going to the gym. We can all join the gym. We can all have the Peloton and hang our laundry on it. Trust me, that doesn't work. We have to actually go do the work on a regular basis, because our brain is actually part of our body. And so that's what the PRP model is. And it's the whole concept within my For the Love of Self journal.
Yeah, which we're definitely going to talk about. And I know on my entrepreneurial journey early on, I was completely mind blown by this idea that my brain could lie to me. Like, it wasn't telling me the truth. Who knows where those thoughts come from, but that you actually have the power to reset your brain. And so I love that framework, and just the knowledge that you don't have to be the victim of your random thoughts. I think, if somebody is early on in their journey or just needs that reminder, I think that's so powerful.
Yes, yes, yes.
So one of the things that we really struggle with as moms and working moms and mom entrepreneurs is the overwhelm. Like, there are definitely times where we all have that point where we're like, not sure if we can do this. Like, where are we? So let's talk about your concept of organized to overwhelmed to organized, and how we can kind of apply that model to begin to, I don't know, how we can use it to create a framework or structure to find more balance between the demands of family life and business.
Yeah, that's so good, Angela. Well, first of all, when I think about overwhelm, it's a feeling, right? So if you sit back and you really think about, I am overwhelmed, it reminds me of like, I don't know if anybody listening can remember the first time they walked into a Costco. Like, I can like vividly remember, I was like, what is happening? Like, I didn't know I needed 100 new gel pens. I didn't know I was going to spend $4,000 on a new patio set, right? It's very overwhelming because there's so much, right? And we don't have a direction, and we're going down the middle aisles, and we really shouldn't, because we went there to go get strawberries, and somehow, like I said, we're buying gel pens. And so when we're overwhelmed, it's a feeling. It's a feeling of like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do, which in turn then literally changes our chemicals in our brain, and it gets us stressed, and all these things happen. And so one of the techniques that I give my coaching clients is we do something called the brain dump. This is when we're like, I have so much on my mind and I don't know where to start. Well, the reason you're overwhelmed is because it is up there in your mind. It's up there spinning, 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 spinning. And so we first need to get it out. We need to get it out on paper. And so we write it all down, right? We that's our system. And then we go through the system and we're like, okay, now let's look at all of these things that are on the list and do what we call the 4Ds, where we're like, okay, and this is how we get organized with our overwhelming feeling and thoughts, is we decide, are we going to do it? Are we going to delegate it? Are we going to delay it? Or are we going to dump it? I want to point out the number one thing that I think as moms in general, that I've experienced in having deeper conversations about feeling overwhelmed is so many moms, whether working or not, we feel that our value is in doing everything. Everything. Like I come home and my value is emptying the dishwasher, doing the dishes, like everything. And then we get angry or we get resentful, which turns into also overwhelm because nobody's helping us. And so when we talk about delegate, I love that part of the 4Ds is who can actually help you and do something that is overwhelming to you. And we want it done our way. I mean, let's be honest. Nobody folds towels like me. I'm like a mean man towel folder, right? But you know, if somebody else can do it, that's then can help and release the overwhelm. And that's part of the blueprint. Part of the blueprint is releasing, it's asking for help. And I mean, I don't know. I've been married for 27 years. And the way that I look at our home and I look at the operations of it, my husband doesn't look at it the same. And I don't want to get angry at him for it. But seriously, if we are packing for a vacation, he is not thinking ahead. He's just not, it's not going to happen. Okay. I am though. I'm thinking when we get home after the 7-day trip, I want the kitchen to be clean. But I will tell you this, I'm packing, and I don't know, he's done packing like 10 times earlier than I am, and he's just sitting around, just having a good old time. But if I ask him to empty the dishwasher, he will. And so it's learning how to understand those cues, understand that kind of bubbly up, steam up overwhelm, and then going out in the world and being like, okay, who can help me with this so that I can feel more organized and calm. And so that's what we talk through, and then you make it work for you, right? I don't have the magic bullet. It's really about a communication and being honest with yourself.
Oh yeah, that whole scenario sounds very familiar. I mean, I think my husband and I have been married 20 years, and I think I've only recently let go of like how the dishwasher is loaded.
Yes.
And not moralized it, and
yeah, it's hard.
it
It's
really
really
is.
hard.
I mean, we're so conditioned. So many tasks fall on us as
Yeah.
moms. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that there has been progress, but you know, there is some self-inflicted stress in
You got it.
how
You said it. Yep.
and to shed some light on that, that we need to be really the steward of our own happiness and finding solutions to what works for us instead of just, you know, being a martyr of all the house things and all the business things. It's one, it can't be done and it shouldn't be done. But there's definitely, I love the framework that you provided, because honestly, I consistently look at my tasks on a quarterly basis and just look at what is too complicated and what can go away. And I don't think that there is a time, even if you're struggling with delegating, which I think a lot of moms do, that dumping, you know, what are you
Oh,
overcomplicating? And we have
yes.
a bias for overcomplicated is better. And
It's not. It's so not. Like, oh my gosh, if it's on your list to do for the next 3 months, we'll just keep it on the business side. It's okay, just let it go. Because you want to know what? If it's a really good idea, it will come up again, right?
Mhm.
Especially for the people that are here listening, you're here because you're growth minded and you believe you
Right.
can always learn and become better and
Mhm.
all of that. It's going to come up again. But
Mm-hmm.
if it continues on the list, it's like, okay, just let that go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need to do that now. And
Right.
honestly, it truly is about less is more,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's really about we're trying to do so much, and we're
Mm-hmm.
also trying to do so much. I think too, the other thing that I've noticed with a lot of my working moms is they're comparing their, you know, we'll call it fourth grade to somebody else's kindergarten, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, your kids, my kids are now semi-adults, semi-adulting, sort of, right? Like they're still on our phone bill and all those sort of things, right? But I'm at a very different stage than somebody that has a 2 and a 4-year-old. And if they're
Mm-hmm.
comparing themselves to me and what
Yeah.
I'm doing on social media and sitting down, sipping my beautiful cup of coffee at 5:30 in the morning and reading and journaling, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to read a journal. And I'm like, I didn't do that when my kids were 2 and 4. I maybe did it a different time, but
Yeah.
it's really truly understanding as we grow as mothers and CEOs of our businesses and entrepreneurs that we constantly have different opportunities in different phases of our life.
Mm-hmm.
We can't compare to you and I if we're brand new to babyhood, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but I don't even want to sell the lie that as they get older, it's less difficult, honestly.
It's
'Cause
just different,
it's
right?
just
Like
different. It's honestly
I'll
sometimes more
yeah,
psychologically
it
stressful.
is.
It's
I'll tell
like,
you what's difficult when I want to go to bed at 10
right,
and they're out till 1 in the morning
right.
and I'm really not sleeping because I'm like, are they going to get home? Is everything going to be okay? Is somebody going to call? Are they going to get an Uber? It's a different kind of difficult, right? It's like
Right.
that, right? Like sleeping with
Yeah.
one ear open. What's happening?
Yes, exactly. We often laugh at ourselves, a decade ago or more when we couldn't wait till they got older and didn't need us so much. What happened to that? But it's still all good. But there is always new seasons. There are almost
Yes.
always new ways that you need to reevaluate how you're going to get the things done and you want to be working at your greatest potential. And I think we're really a product of our habits and what we
Mhm.
do every day. And I know that you have some insight on some of those high performance habits that we can incorporate that I think can really help us be more healthy, productive instead of like being on this hamster toxic, I got to do all the things.
Yeah, I love this. So, a couple of ones that I can give without giving the whole toolbox is really, first of all, a habit of slow down.
Mm.
I would say a habit of breathing. I even think of you and I jumping on this podcast. You're like, I'll be right there. I'm on another call, right?
Right.
And so I teach this technique called release tension, set intention. Release tension, set intention. And we don't always have a lot of white space in our calendars or, in our schedules. And it's just building in a 5 second, we're not talking hours here, of a moment to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you breathe in through your nose, you're saying release, you're releasing, and then you're setting your intention, breathing out. And you're just doing that 5 times. And you can do this throughout, you can create a habit, shifts throughout the day. Like if we think about anybody who's working outside the home, when you pull into the driveway and you truly want to be like, hear what everybody's saying, like hold the faces of your little ones, right? Or really make eye contact. If you haven't really left the tension of the day when you're walking in, they feel it. They know it. You're really not listening. And so I'd say that's a great habit to build in a little bit of white space, a little breathing room. I'd say a couple other habits are kind of like what you and I talked about, the whole brain dump is just recognizing when you're feeling the overwhelm. And this is also really slowing down
Mhm.
instead of doing, especially because entrepreneurs are doers, right? We just open our computer, we open our phone, we da 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 da, we do. And it's building a habit of, okay, how can I really, really be intentional with what I am doing versus just doing for the sake of doing. And
Mhm.
that's a whole system of really identifying, well, what are your 3 big rocks in your life today? Like right
Mhm.
now, and we do the week. I coach to what are your 3 big rocks in your life this week? And then how can you build a habit to go time block for those so that at least you know you're moving the ball forward? Because really we get burnout and an exhaustion when we're doing the wrong things. That's
Right.
really what it boils down to. And so those are just a couple of really simple, easy, they don't cost you money. Breathing doesn't cost you money.
I know. Yeah.
Habits.
I know. I mean, my 2024 was so incredibly busy with travel. We did 75 podcast episodes.
Oh,
I mean, it was insane, and juggled a daughter in her senior year. My youngest is a dancer and started middle school. I mean, we did so much. And then come January, I was just like, what? And I know to create white space. I know to take that time, but we just get so caught up in the doing that, we just have to have those reminders if it's not something on your radar already. I love that you're giving us that permission, because really that's what I think we need, is somebody to say, "Hey, here's your permission note. Take a moment and just rest your brain and just rest."
yes. Well, and Angela, it just makes me think of your 2024 as an entrepreneur. Like our jobs are never done. I mean,
Right.
that's the gift of what we do, right? It's
Mhm.
called creativity. It's
Right.
thinking. It's, we're not going to a factory and just putting the same widget on the thing,
Right.
right? We get to learn and be creative. But when you own that type of business or you're an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
it will never be done
Mhm.
because sales and marketing is never done,
Mhm. Right.
And so, you know, write down this one too. So we talk a lot about also the 1-3-5, and
Mhm.
it's 1 day per week,
Mhm.
not working. I mean, you can check your email, but I'm just saying, it's
Yeah.
3 consecutive days a month and 5 per quarter. And
Mm.
so a lot of times when I'm coaching entrepreneurs and high achievers, I mean, these are
Mhm.
people making 6 figures to upwards of $1 million. And it's taking a moment and time blocking for those things because
Mhm.
we've noticed patterns. There's a pattern that happens with entrepreneurs that don't slow down and take a break about every quarter. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, you'll be 3 months in and you'll be like, get sick, you'll
Right.
get tired, you'll get resentful to your business.
Mhm.
It's because you didn't build in any time to
Mhm.
actually rest, breathe, and rejuvenate because we're not
Right.
robots. And so that could be something that somebody tries. And it's just
Mhm.
a blueprint. You can make it your own,
Mhm.
but we do talk a lot about that, a lot.
Yeah, it is a thing. And one of the things that I was really conscious of, even though I, would go down this hole of beating myself up, I should do this and that and the other thing, was not resisting it and just taking time off, because I had traveled. We were in London for the holidays and the time change, and then it was my husband's birthday and we had traveled again. So I had rested, but it wasn't
Sure.
like I but it wasn't at home, and I really hadn't turned my brain off, and so I think that's a really great, to give us that framework and that extra tip. I love that so much. We've talked about so many of the wonderful ways in which you coach your clients, but one of the obstacles that I'm sure you run into as well as I do when I talk to people is overcoming that resistance to invest in themselves. Because I think once you overcome that, that's where the magic happens, honestly. There's this energetic exchange, there's this commitment to, oh, I made this investment. So can you talk to those people who are maybe struggling with that right now and not sure about on the return of an investment, or what that actually looks like? I mean, so many women haven't taken that leap and aren't sure what that feels like.
Yeah, well, first of all, when I think about, and we'll just call it coaching, we can all use different words, mentorship or accountability or whatever, but
Hmm.
if you are contemplating getting a coach, um, I'm the type of coach, first of all, where I'm never going to sell you on me. I want to make sure that there's alignment. So one of the things that I would recommend to anybody is if you're considering on bringing a coach on, is do make sure that you spend time, that there is alignment from what you are receiving from the
Hmm.
person and what they are receiving.
Hmm.
And then this is a hard one for me because I've always had a coach. I've had a
Mm.
business coach for 20 years. So I have a really hard time when somebody's not willing
Yeah.
to invest in it. And especially when you are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, like, who is pulling back the curtain to show you
Mm.
something that you don't even see?
Mm.
Or who is 10 steps ahead of you? We're best to coach based on what we've already experienced, right?
Mhm.
And so I do have a lot of coaching clients who are newer moms because I've already been through it, right? It's like if you hire a coach to help you lose weight, you're probably hiring somebody who's not, heavier than you because they've already been through it. They understand. And then there's that accountability piece, which it's so funny because this was my subject for the week with a lot of my clients, is I have such a love-hate relationship with accountability. It's like, I like it when I can report that I did the things that I was supposed to do, but I don't like it when I don't.
Mm.
But it, that accountability piece, you show up differently. And whether you're in a
Yeah.
group setting or a one-on-one setting, it's just human nature, especially if we've invested time and money to show up our best.
Mhm.
And so those are just a couple of things that I've noticed from my own coaching that I've received. And then what I'm seeing happen with my clients
Mhm.
is, wow, I didn't see it that way, or, oh, I didn't realize that, or, oh, you're right. If I
Mhm.
say on a scale of 1 to 10 this week, how would you rank, you meeting your intentionality? And they're like a 3. Well, we got to dig deep and find out why. We got to
Mhm.
find out what's really going on. And that's super hard to do when you're on your own.
Yeah. And I think that the price of making a change has to, really be better than staying the same. And sometimes what we need is to be able to focus on what matters most to us, right? And so you mentioned it earlier, for the love of,
Mm.
and this technique to be able to fill in the blank and focus on what matters most to us. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So when I was starting my company, I'll be honest, I will not forget this. Like, I called my daughter. Let me just think, was she a freshman in college? Freshman in college. And I'm just like, hey, honey, I'm starting my new company. And just could you go on Canva? Can you create a logo for me? I'm going to go to GoDaddy. I'm going to get a website, do the thing. And I started with For the Love of Coaching. That's
Hmm.
what I started with. I knew that that was going to be a part of my business. And
Hmm.
then over time, I was like, I was listening to my clients when I would go and speak. I was listening, and I'm like, you want to know what? It's not for the love of coaching. That's what I love doing.
Hmm.
It's about for the love of what's important to them.
Hmm.
And you get to fill in the blank. And is
Hmm.
it for the love of, your word of the year, right? For the love of clarity or commitment or balance or renew. I'm literally looking at a list of all of my clients' words because I like to remind myself, intentionality or routine or being a great mama.
Hmm.
And it's just a way for you to, I always say when you're in my space, I want to make sure that you're inspired, you're empowered,
Hmm.
and that I promote action. And it's a way for you to do something, to have an action for
Hmm.
the love of what
Yeah.
does that mean to you?
Hmm.
And that's how that all became what it is now,
Hmm.
which is our messaging in everything that we're doing. It's super fun,
Yeah, that's a really cool story. I mean, we were talking about overwhelm, and I think so much of being an entrepreneur can feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. and
Yes.
parenthood. And so I really love that you have this way. We have to have this simple kind of thing to bring us back, like our compass, our north. And so I think that that's one of the coolest techniques that I've heard about, where you can just go, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I investing in myself? Why am I doing all of these extra things that I'm called to do that most people don't do? Because it can feel really
Mm.
lonely as a mom and an entrepreneur, when you're not, I think maybe 10% of people become an entrepreneur and, put being a mom on top of that. And so I think that's a really cool technique. So,
Yeah, and we should look up that percentage. So 10%. But here's the
yeah.
really cool part. The really cool part is I believe it's easier now than it ever has been.
Oh, well, that's why I love this conversation, because I think the buck stops with us. 20,
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago, you had the excuse where there was the brick and mortar
Yeah.
and the overhead. And it's
Yes.
like, if you have a laptop and a cell phone, like, you can be in business.
Yeah. And we're not here to say and pretend like it's easy. There is no
Right,
easy pill. What you do and what
right,
I do is work. I mean, it
right,
is work. It's
right,
self-satisfying work.
right.
It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy, I should
Hmm.
say. It's simple, not easy.
Right.
Um, but you could do anything now online.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
it's just phenomenal. It's almost like the hard part for me, because I
yeah,
have this entrepreneurial heart, is I actually have to stop myself from creating something. I'm like,
right.
oh, wait, well, we could do that.
Oh
Wait,
yeah, yeah,
I
that
could
becomes,
make crowns out of wine corks, or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
I just had a guest this week that, made $1 million business on Etsy, just sharing
Yeah,
something she made for
I
her
listened to that
wedding.
one.
I
That
mean,
was that was a really good episode, people. Go back to that one.
yeah,
That
she
was
has like
so
a team
good.
of 12 now. Her husband's now retired and helps her run the
Who would have
business.
thought?
It's like
Girl
Alex
power.
Hermosi is now giving her business
Yes.
advice. I mean,
Yeah, that was a
like,
super cool story.
so, and she was a military spouse like me. So, I
Yeah.
mean, all of those things that can stand in your way, we're giving you permission. We're setting the stage, and hopefully giving you at least some of the tools to begin to rewrite the story you're telling yourself and shift your mindset, which I think is really the key to it all, since it's so accessible. But if you had to leave listeners with an action that they can take to bring more harmony or shift their mindset or just get a little bit closer to their potential, what would that be?
Without having a list of 100 things, I would say first, give yourself some personal space, some personal time to dream,
Mm,
um, and to really think about, and whether it's you're looking at your Enneagram or your DISC or your Strength Finders or whatever assessment you love. I love them all, I'll be
yeah.
honest. Really, you're looking at them and you're like, okay, what am I really good at? Right? And sometimes we just need to identify that. And what am I really happy at doing? It doesn't necessarily, it's your purpose in life, but the whole purpose of working to make money is so we can also feel empowered and happy.
Hmm.
And we deserve that because that's where we
Hmm.
spend our time. And so I'd
Hmm.
say first slow down and think and dream and then go study. Here's the beautiful part. We don't need to invent anything new. Everything that I do, I didn't invent it. I'm making it my own,
Hmm.
right? It's me, it's my voice, it's my personality, it's my energy. I'm not saying you're going to
Hmm.
go and copy somebody, but there are blueprints to everything.
Hmm.
Everything. You can go
Hmm.
study a different small business and then make it your business.
Hmm.
And so just take some time to dream and pull the
Yeah.
trigger. I mean, heck, if I can do it at 50, you can do it.
Right. I love that so much. Kim, it's been such a great conversation. You've shared so many great tips and just really, I think, has been a wealth of knowledge for the audience listening. Where can they connect with you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yes, thank you. So Instagram at Kim Rogne, Kimrogne, or kimrogne.com. And then you can certainly go get a free downloadable from my For the Love of Self journal. So you could just pull it and journal in your own little notebook. And that's just at flow, F-L-O, self, S-E-L-F.com, flowself.com. Or if you're a working mom, you can also go to flowworkingmoms.com, where we created one that specifically speaks to working moms. And go get the free downloadable, and it'll help you start with your mindset. So,
yeah. No, I love that. And I'll leave all those links in the show notes so listeners can just connect that way too. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been wonderful connecting.
thank you, Angela, for all that you do. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.